My guest is now Iftach Lustig. He's the wine specialist in the Mamilla Hotel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
That's quite a bar you showed me. That's phenomenal, that mirror bar.
We're very, very proud about of the bar, the decoration and the atmosphere we're trying to convey there.
What do you see as the message you're sending out?
Well, it's an upscale place or bar that you can actually feel at home at. It has that casual thing about it on the one hand, and on the other hand in terms of quality of cocktails, which I strongly recommend, and the food there is just there's nothing I can compare it to. We're trying to create something that's completely different.
I want to ask you about something though, if you know about it. There's at the end of the bar, you have this photograph of this girl. One of my daughters is a painter.
Mm-hmm.
She's a pop surrealist. And the painting, that's a photograph, not a painting, reminded me of her paintings. Who did that?
I met the girl that did that made it, but I don't really remember the details.
Well, I'll have to ask somebody else because it was very interesting. Now, in your wine collection, do you take wines from all over the world, or how do you choose what you serve as wines here?
Well, because we're restricted to kosher wine, I tried to create something that would suit, would be actually a portrait of what Israel can produce in terms of kosher wine. I chose the best kosher wines I could find from different price ranges, and assembled a collage of something that could interest any wine enthusiast in any level.
Well, you know the first reaction people have, kosher wine and good wine, they don't go together, but that's not true anymore, is it?
The Israeli wine revolution is actually younger than I am.
Yes, I know, because even 15 years ago it was, and kosher or non-kosher, there weren't very few really good wines.
In Israel we produced, and it's easy to say, we produced less than desirable wine up until the early 80s, where a few visionaries started enforcing their opinion that we can produce high quality wine. Nobody took them seriously. We started up with 16 wineries in the early 80s. We have now between 250 and 300 registered wineries. This is the largest increase in any wine country ever.
Well, I didn't know there were that many, because we do shows on a winery, but I didn't know there's 300?
Registered, there's another 100, 150 unregistered.
Really? Because we've done a few boutique wineries, and the wines were, I mean, they were award-winning wines. I mean, they compete with any country in the world. And of course, the days in which, oh, not an Israeli wine, anything but.
This is something in the wine industry, which I'm part of. We work very, very hard to show people from outside of Israel as well as inside Israel that we do produce high quality wine, that wine is an essential part of a cultural everyday life, and is something to be enjoyed with, well, every meal.
Well, one of the problems we have in Canada, in Ontario, and you spend time in Toronto, is they restrict the numbers of Israeli wines they bring in, and it's a total shame because you're trying to get a wine through the LCBO in Ontario. It's very difficult.
Well, the LCBO is a very weird structure of marketing wine or alcoholic beverages, and I really failed to see some logic in it.
It makes money for the government, that's the logic. But let's go back to you and your role. You could have, I assume, gone into the wine industry. Why did you go into the service side of it?
Before this, I used to consult for wineries, used to consult for wine shops, and did lectures in wine. When I got this job interview, this job offer, it interested me because it was the first hotel in Israel to ask for a sommelier. Someone from the wine industry that knows what they want, knows about wine, knows how to deal with wine, and looks at wine as more than just two varieties, red and white, sees the range and the complexity of the situation. I wanted to be the first.
I see. So your job is not only to assemble the wine cellar, I assume that's part of your process, but to also educate the public about these wines.
That's my job. That's my ideology. It doesn't really matter where exactly I am, but my job here entails teaching the staff on what is wine, how to approach the subject, because it could be very daunting to people.
Well, how do you go about that?
I try to strip the ceremony, that very, very awkward and frightening ceremony, to something that's as easygoing and as eye level, and bring it down to eye level with the guest. Try to explain to him what he's drinking, where it comes from, and with just a few words. If he's interested in more, we can always elaborate, and just enjoy the wine. Which
is what it's for. I mean,
exactly.
Well, you know, I'm not a wine drinker. Wasn't at least.
Well, nobody's perfect.
But but tell you what, we did a wine show, and we were doing the wine show with all the twirling and the tasting. Of course, I didn't know that. It was a kind of turns in which I turned out to be a clown on my own show, because I was drinking all these wines as I was tasting them, and of course they had an effect which made me very jolly in the process, because I didn't spit out or do all those other things you're supposed to do.
At wine shows, you're supposed to taste 300 different types of wine. This makes for a very, very interesting and fun-filled night.
It was. But I learned, I really got to like wine. I don't do a lot because I don't drink a lot, but I now drink sometimes, which is a change. And of course, my wife loves wine. So she doesn't mind that I don't drink wine because she takes my glass as well as hers. I want to go on another subject. If I went, and which 3 wines would you say I should try?
Pardon?
Of your collection, and you said I had 3 wines to choose, which would you say I should choose?
That is a more difficult question than you can think of. It really depends on the guest, how the palate, what's his level in terms of wine. If he has a very sophisticated palate,
I don't have a sophisticated palate.
I would offer something in terms of Domaine de Castel Grand Vin, which is a very
Castel
high-end
wine.
Yeah,
we did a show on Castel.
It's a brilliant winery.
We loved that winery, and we went through how they grow the grapes, pick the grapes, the barrels, the whole thing. It was a great winery.
So for a sophisticated palate, that could be a good choice. Maybe an aged wine, a Yarden Cabernet Sauvignon. But if someone is more along the lines of just a bottle of wine to enjoy with dinner, with even not a sophisticated, just a dinner or something to enjoy on a date, if he's going on a picnic. Every scenario demands a different type of wine. If he wants to drink it in the afternoon, I'd offer a rosé or a white wine. If he wants to have a glass of wine with maybe pasta, I would ask, what's he eating it with? What's the circumstances?
And how did you get this love of wine? Where did it come from?
It's a bug. It kind of bites you.
It's a disease? Do you have your own private collection as well?
Yeah, but unfortunately it keeps vanishing for no apparent reason.
It keeps you broke too, I assume.
It keeps you broke, and well, so you have to work to get more wine, and then it vanishes.
Well, one of the advantages of being in your profession, you can at least drink, because you have to taste all these wines that you're going to buy.
Oh yeah,
So it has a certain advantage. You get privileges on that. Where do you, if I asked you your direction, what direction are you going to in building your collection?
What I look at as is value for money, value to money as the most important standard, and I try to create something that offers everything to whatever guest comes in. It doesn't matter the price range. It starts very low. It can end up very, very high. Level of sophistication obviously rises with monetary value, and so, as I said before, let me start again. Sorry. In the way I see it, wine is like cars. Manufacturers of cars, you have many of them, and they all pretty much do fulfill the same purpose. They take you from point A to point B. But You have your everyday car to go to work, and you have your car when you want to go traveling, or maybe a 4x4, a car that takes you fast, that's a sport car, and a car to show off. That's important, like a Rolls Royce.
And you have me who doesn't drive a car.
and you have taxi. And you want to create that wine for any specific occasion that you come across.
Okay, wine and food is okay to go to a meal, but one of the big things hotels do is run big events like weddings. Who would I talk to here about arranging an event like a wedding?
Well, Emmanuel is the person for you to talk to. I could set it up if you want.
Okay, great.